Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Welcome to another episode of So Frail Conversations. Um, today, uh, today I want to talk about the title of my second book, Toxic Femininity. Again, that's another topic I want to go ahead and get out of the way before we start diving deep into it, because there has been a lot of misconception in that book. Like, just like there was a misconception about So Frail, a reality of black male masculinity, motherfuckers assume that I was, bashing, my brothers and coming off from that perspective as they all do, um, more so co-signing to the mediocrity as opposed to redefining and restructuring something and providing a working template to make the shift happen. You feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to So Frail II, Toxic Femininity, it's like people automatically assume that I'm talking about women, and I'm talking about crazy women, ratchet women, women that's just damaging and deadly and shit. And it's like, yo, the theme of toxic femininity ain't got shit to do with women, but it has shit to do with the poisonous essence in which we have adopted as men. You feel what I'm saying? And reading the book, you'll see more about it. It'll go more into more specific detail, but it's more so. I've noticed that people have completely missed the mark on that. I've had homies, and and I kind of lost a friend because of this, but I like they bought the book So Frail II, Toxic Femininity because they assumed I was talking about women. Didn't even read the book yet, and was like, yeah, this is something I'm gonna go ahead and cop this, and I'm gonna read this because we need this out there. I was like, all right, we do need it out there, but this ain't what you think it is if you think it's about women. Like, I don't even come off from that perspective. And, you know, it's kind of hard to, um, it's kind of hard to even discuss toxic femininity because, like I said, people are limited in scope to what they understand masculinity and femininity as. So when somebody says toxic femininity, it instantly goes to the gender, which is truly not which way I was going. So again, I need to be thoroughly understood and why I did what I did. You feel what I'm saying? Just like masculinity is the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction, I define femininity a specific way too, which is the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of synthesis and construction. It's a reason why I define it like that, and I'm going to explain that, and it's going to be in even more detail when you read the book, if you read the book, which I hope you do, because it will help make these conversations make a lot of sense. You feel what I'm saying? It dives very deep into it. Um, but yeah, first I want that to be clear. You feel me? I am not talking about women in any way, shape, or form. This ain't got shit to do with y'all. So don't feel like, this is an attack. This is something that is uh going to undermine you as a being, as a person. I don't, not in a negative sense, but I don't really have shit to say about women when it comes to this topic of masculinity. This ain't got shit to do with y'all. You feel me? So Frail, the entire series is about the divinity of the man. You feel what I'm saying? By the time the third book comes out, you'll see the full thing encompass itself and come together. But it's about the man. You feel what I'm saying? So I had to start with masculinity. Then I go into femininity as a singularity. As these two dual points, which is ultimately going to come back into the singularity of divinity. Um, but before I dive deep into it and I start peeling back the layers and letting you see why I called this toxic femininity, always is always, if you're not following me, follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_. You can follow my merchandise page at Just Scenes Merch. You can get all kind of designs, hoodies, tees, cups, coffee mugs, whatever you're looking for. I got it. Follow my plant-based living page at the Hitting It Raw program. And as I said, be sure to get the books. So Frail, A Reality to Black Male Masculinity. So Frail II, Toxic Femininity. And my ebook, Hitting It Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based for Life. If you are considering transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle, understand that it's not propaganda to get you to go vegan, plant-based, whatever it is they're calling it these days. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and dive straight into toxic femininity. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, welcome back, and I hope everybody is, cool, calm, collected, and ready to get into it. Because, as I was saying, toxic femininity, the reason why I called it that, like I said, it has nothing to do with women. So when you see the title, don't assume that I'm just coming for women and I'm coming from a negative perspective of women. I'm coming from an essence of what the world is operating from today, contrary to popular belief. And I get it because a lot of times, just because a notable person can say something or, the masses agree with something doesn't mean it's right. You feel me? It doesn't mean it's right. We got to take a step back and peel back the layers to see what the fuck is really being, projected into the world and presented into what we think is reality. You feel me? Now, granted, I'm not about to get on any mystical sci-fi shit, but I'm going to keep it 100 with you, and I got to, explain what is going on, as I understand it from my perspective. So, in the world that we live in today, everybody says, masculinity is bad. Masculinity is toxic. Masculinity is this. Men are this, men are that, because that has been a delineated association where men automatically go with masculinity. So when you see men doing fucked up shit, you blame it on masculinity. You feel what I'm saying? That is the common thing. It's like, yo, these men are doing X, Y, and Z, so that means the masculinity is off. The masculinity is toxic. Let me explain something to you. Masculinity is not in this world right now. Hear me again. Masculinity is not in this world right now. That's why I say when you first explain something to somebody, you have to have a definition running so they know which way you're going with that. This is why I define masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. You feel what I'm saying? That definition is not in this world. You feel me? So the men that we say are running the world, men are the matriarchal, the misogynistic society, the patriarchal society, all of these things, we're blaming that on masculinity when it's not. It's men. You feel me? And we had defaulted masculinity to men. But see, here's the thing. Because of that, we say, well, the divine feminine is coming back. The divine feminine is here. The divine feminine is ready to return because masculinity has just been toxically damaging. Masculinity has not been here. Feminine has been here the entire time. The feminine energy, the feminine essence, femininity has been here the entire time. Here's why it's problematic and here's what men have been operating from and why I call the book Toxic Femininity. You feel what I'm saying? Men have adopted the opposite or the negative polarity to the delineation of femininity. Femininity has two aspects to it. Two sides, like a evil twin, so to speak. Masculinity has a version too, but femininity has like a shadow side to it. You feel what I'm saying? So within the essence of femininity, which is the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of synthesis and construction, that means to the core, femininity is about creation or destruction. Quick backtrack. When I define masculinity, I use deconstruction. But now I'm using destruction. Those are two different words, although they sound the same and they are similar. They're two different words. Deconstruction is to break something down into its finest point, but destruction is to completely obliterate it, like to make it nothing. You feel what I'm saying? Which is a very important thing because destruction is the opposite side of creation. You feel me? Therefore, destruction is an extension of femininity. You feel me? Not masculinity. Destruction is an extension of femininity. And that is what men have accepted today. The masculine core is gone, but men have been operating through the toxic feminine core. I'm not saying women by default, because we're in opposition and all of that shit, that y'all are automatically the healthy feminine part. But I'm explaining at this particular point, the world is operating through femininity. The divine feminine isn't gone. She's sick. And that divine masculine is gone. We need to keep that in mind. Whether you're on the spiritual tip saying, oh, it's the divine masculine has to do. No, no, no. Masculinity, the essence, is not in this world right now. And it has not been in this world right now for quite a few millennia. Quite a few millennia. I'll go into when it stopped and all of the other things. And, these are just observations. Now, granted, can I prove any of this shit? Because I know I get flack for that. Like, a lot of people ask, can you prove it? Nobody can prove anything. Nobody can prove anything. But we can have enough information and insight to shit that we can justify what the fuck we're talking about. So you can guarantee I'm going to justify everything that I'm saying, every claim that I'm making, to where it appears that I'm proving it. But I can't prove the shit. I'm not going to lie to you. But I have enough justifications and solid things to stand on that you can't refute it. You feel what I mean? But anywho, when when we consider where we are right now with femininity, the divine feminine is here. You dig what I'm saying? The divine feminine is here. And she's split in half. Like I said, you have the toxic feminine nature, and then you have the healthy feminine nature. So when women thinking that, like, misogyny is feminine behavior, the patriarchy, the patriarchal system in which we operate from, I'm not saying patriarchy is this way, but the patriarchal system in which we operated from is created under toxic femininity. So the men that we say, okay, are running the world, the actions and the behaviors of men that are running the world, what has happened is they have shifted to toxic femininity. And I'm going to break it down for you like this. Within femininity, as I said, being the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of of synthesis and construction. You feel what I'm saying? It has 2 points. It has an evil twin and a regular twin, so to speak. But that evil twin is toxic femininity, as I said, and the healthy, the other twin is the healthy femininity. But how does this come to be? For this is how you know it's gone, because for masculinity. For femininity to not be toxic, masculinity has to be here. When masculinity is here by default, femininity can't have its toxic form. But see, whether you call them the forces that be, the powers that be, whoever they are, they've decided and they have made the system shift to the toxic femininity for men. So you cannot be a masculine man if all your life you're taught and you're groomed by femininity. That's not an accident. That's not an accident at all, because the world pushes forward. Our resources are our, everything. It pushes forward when masculinity is present. It stagnates when masculinity is absent and we're just operating from femininity. You cannot create with no raw materials. Masculinity creates the raw materials by analysis and deconstruction. You feel me? Femininity rebuilds those raw materials through synthesis and construction. And that's how we push cultures forward. That's how we push civilizations forward. Why the fuck have we been in the same exact position for the last 6,000 years? Because masculinity is gone, but femininity is here, but it's split. So where you have the one aspect of where you need to create, you have the other aspect, which is where you need to destroy. And guess who adopted what? Women have adopted the actual creation part. Men have adopted the destruction part. So in that balance, in that disharmony, that's what the attack is. So when women say, oh, masculinity so toxic, this masculinity, this, check your masculinity, da 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 da, and everybody wants black men's masculinity to not be here. I don't fucking know why. I don't know. I know why. I know why. Because when you're operating from a space of genetics, you feel what I'm saying, and you consider dominant genetics, you feel what I'm saying, you now have to fall into a hierarchy. And when we're operating to your optimal self, you feel me? The world has to shift in favor of the optimal force. It's natural. It's natural selection. Survival of the fittest. You feel what I'm saying? So if our masculinity is intact the way it's supposed to be, as I said, when masculinity is here and it's working with femininity, toxic femininity is gone. And therefore we're able to analyze and deconstruct. The femininity is able to synthesize and construct, and the culture pushes forward. So that's why you can't have true masculinity in this world, because when you start having that, you fall in line. And the other masculine, beings, the other beings who are supposed to exhibit masculinity, they're going to follow suit. And then it's going to shift back into what the world was for quite a few million years prior to the history being destroyed and everything like that. You feel what I'm saying? And I say million years because if they didn't say that the first person to be found on this earth was 1.4 million years ago, the fuck? It was just that one person and they died. Nah, it was entire civilization up until this point. And who was that civilization? But I digress. I'm talking about toxic femininity, but I'm showing a point of importance as to why we're being attacked. So what people have been arguing, new masculinity, all of this other shit, what they're trying to maintain, because they've been doing it since the education system, what they're trying to maintain is the inability for the man to be masculine. You feel me? The inability of the man to embody his essence of analysis and deconstruction. You feel what I'm saying? So what does he have to do? He has to embody his essence of synthesis and construction. This is why they take our fathers out of the home. They try their best to take our fathers out of the home, or try their best to give our examples of what masculinity is, the toxic feminine template. So we think that's masculine. All of the shit, all of the fucked up shit that the men are really doing on a regular basis, that's toxic feminine behavior. Why? Because it is destruction. It is poised to destroy. You feel what I'm saying? That's not an accident. That's not an accident. You feel me? But they have manipulated and coerced our masculine nature in order to go in favor of them. You know how many people had, when a man is operating from his true masculine nature, by default, his first point of exhibiting reality is that he will be a nerd. That's a very, very important piece to that, because he's going to be a nerd. People don't even get that shit. But how many people did not like nerds growing up in school? So that's a very dual point, because most nerds, most of the people who had the masculine energy and they thought through the masculine capacity, what they did was they were able to analyze and deconstruct. That's important, because by that default, you have to learn. Your learning template is going to be by understanding principles. However, they teach us how to memorize details. That is not a masculine thing, but that is a very feminine thing, to memorize details. You feel what I'm saying? So as a man, when we start school, like this starts early. People think this is just some accidental shit. No, this starts early. When we're in school, I can count on my hand how many times I've had a male teacher. I had one in 6th grade, one in 7th grade, two in the 8th grade. But I had 12 years of schooling. You feel what I'm saying? So the system is structured for feminine tendencies, for feminine, and again, this is not me telling you that you're going to act like a woman. It's not telling you that, hey, they make us women. They make a duality to where in one aspect, when we embody the positive side, this is why they say masculinity is so frail, because they want us to act like women. You feel me? They want us to be feminine. But when it's positive, it's like you carry more of the tendencies for a woman. Oh, embrace this, embrace that. Like certain shit that is in a violating code to a man, they want us to embody that. But if we don't embody it, oh, you're masculinity. No. You're now seeing you're now seeing the battle between toxic femininity emerging. Because this is why they teach us as men not to have emotions. Suck it up. You're creating the toxic feminine behavior every time you tell a man or you tell a little boy not to cry, or every time you tell a little boy to suck it up, or every time you tell a little boy not to feel emotion, because men don't feel emotions. That is the quintessential piece to create toxic femininity. Why? Because a driving force of feminine energy is emotion. The masculine principle is rationale. Again, this is why I say masculinity ain't in this bitch, because we don't rationalize shit. We speak from an emotional perspective. This is why the social media templates are what they are. This is why they do the killings and the shit like that, because your rationale is going to follow your emotionality. You feel what I'm saying? Where rationale is supposed to quell emotionality, if rationale is not there, it's going to follow emotionality. So what triggers your emotions, your mind is going to follow. Your thoughts are going to follow. And then that's how you can instill fear in a motherfucker. So masculinity is gone, but toxic femininity, that's what men have embodied, and that's what has been labeled as masculine energy these days. So when they say check your I seen a post and the shit pissed me off, but it humored me too, because it was like, it's really a motherfucking attack on us. It said, black masculine men, check your privilege before you enter the door. Check your male privilege before you enter the door. So I said, black masculine man. You feel what I'm saying? Not, I can understand if it was like masculine men. I wouldn't be okay, but it's the black masculine man because it's like everybody else is following the suit. Our natural essence comes out. That can't like we naturally have the masculine essence. So when we understand that our masculine essence isn't being nurtured, we have to get out of the system. We have to unplug. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not toxic masculinity that is not running that is it's not toxic femininity that is in the world doing all of this damage. It's toxic femininity because that is a polarity of destruction. You feel what I'm saying? I hope you following me with that. Like that is what is now being masked as, and packaged as, masculinity. And it's completely wrong. It's completely backwards. But because of that, now it's like I have to be this type of way. So now when you split in the duality and you're raising and we're growing up and we're going to school every day, 8 hours a day, our teachers are women and they're not always women that look like us, but the curriculum, the system, the structure. This is why as much as I love my teachers, as much as I love my sisters who say, okay, I want to go in and change the system. You can't. This is a system and a curriculum structured and created to the feminine essence. What do you think is going to happen to a masculine man? A masculine being naturally being cultivated into the feminine essence. What do you think is going to happen to him? He's emasculated. See, a lot of people think emasculation automatically means you're soft and you start to do feminine tendencies. You let your wrist drop and you switch and all that. No, y'all are speaking from and that's why a lot of motherfuckers miss the shit. Because they're stuck on a carnal aspect and think it only applies to your gender and your sexuality. Nah, that's why I define it with the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of synthesis and construction. That's femininity. You feel what I'm saying? So as a man or as a boy, when I'm in school and I'm learning from the feminine perspective, see, the feminine perspective teaches detail. They teach you memorization. They don't teach you principle. Men are default to understand principles. We don't give a fuck about details because we know that details are subject to change. That's our natural balance and our proclivity. Women are more apt to understand details. Men are more apt to understand principles. You feel what I'm saying? It's just natural creation. I don't give a fuck how people want to define it or how people want to say, we all have both. Yes, we have both, but we have a predisposition. One that is naturally going to lead regardless. And in our unconscious reality, that one is going to lead. You don't fucking believe me? You'll get into an argument with your girl. And this is why you get into an argument. You get into an argument with your girl. She's upset, whatever the case may be. She sends you, and women, y'all got to pay attention to this shit too, because you'll send a full paragraph or some shit. Or you just go on a rant. And then when you go on your rant, your man respond with, huh? You know why he said, huh? Really think about that. You know why he said, huh? It wasn't because he missed it. It wasn't because he didn't hear what you said. There was not a single principle in all that you said. You just said a whole bunch of details. There was no structure in your anger, in your rant, and when you were upset, it was, huh? He couldn't process that because his unconscious mind could not, which is where the driving force is. Our unconscious minds are where the driving force of our truest essence really is. Period. That's how you know the predisposition for men is masculinity, the predisposition for women is femininity, because when in your anger state, when emotions take over, your unconscious mind has to direct it somehow because it has to keep you sane. It has to keep you in a position. So when women snap and they get upset and y'all just go on all of these tangents, y'all put in so many motherfucking details. In your head, I'm not even going to deny that. In your head, it makes sense. It makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. You feel me? You ration, but you have nothing but details. And you're throwing it at us at one time. So it's like, we hear all of, okay, that's not a principle. That's not okay. Huh? That's why we say, huh? And then what you say, if you go, huh, you hit no. That's why we say, huh? There's no principle. There's not a single principle in all that you just said. You're just angry and you're ranting. I get it, but there's no principle in what you said. So therefore, I can't respond a way that would allow me to respond. So that was just a quick sidebar, but that's how we're structured, and that's how we're now learning in the system. So the masculine energy is not there. It's now being depleted. And as it's being depleted, it's being filled with feminine energy. But as our men, what we're doing is we're accepting it because we're in it. We're conditioning ourselves into it. We're being conditioned into it. But then that's when the duality hits. Do we become the bad boy exhibiting toxic femininity, or do we become the passive soft guy who does the healthy femininity, It's now, because as I said, from the definition perspective, spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of synthesis and construction. Are we going to build? Or are we going to be destroyers? You feel me? I'm not even discussing gender. That's how deep this shit really goes. See, the gender shit is just the face. The gender shit is the mask to keep you from understanding what the fuck is really going on. That's what the gender shit is. But you're not even getting to the mental and spiritual essence part of it. You feel what I'm saying? We're stuck on that physical shit. And so, because of that, the men have to pick a side of femininity. Never is there a question of, yo, let's be masculine. Nah, we're going to be manly. And toxic femininity and manliness are hand in hand with each other. Hand in hand with each other. Why do you think when men start doing when men start really exhibiting toxic feminine behavior, they say you're acting mannish. They don't even, like, we have never equated the two, but it's like, yo, you're being mannish. And think about mannish behavior. What's considered mannish? You feel what I'm saying? Men can do whatever they want to do. Men can fuck frivolously. We can do all destructive shit. We can, I've had a girlfriend one time. I don't know why she said it or she wanted to do this, but I get why she said it. But it goes back into I'll get back into that, but it goes back into what was fighting for with equality or whatever. But she was like, how come y'all can get away with fucking multiple women and this, all this and this, but when we do it, we're a hoe? Because toxic feminine behavior is about destruction. You feel me? I can go fuck 8 bitches at one time. I can go do all of this shit. I can pass around. I can have multiple babies and damage women on the inside. I can have, project twins, smash 2 chicks in the same month, same week, and got 2 different babies. They born at the same time. And they, I can do that shit. And it's perfectly fine, but you better not do that shit. Why? Because we're both essences of femininity. You're the healthy one. I'm the toxic one. I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to exhibit that energy simply because that's how the world has already groomed me. Masculine energy ain't here. Masculine energy ain't here. And the feminine energy doesn't have to come back. Masculine energy has to come back to kill toxic femininity. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? I hope it's making sense. I hope it's making sense. Because this is where we are going forward. And then when we look at the women's movement and all of this shit, what were you really fighting against? Like, we get it. I get the suffrage movement. I get all of that shit. You feel me? I get all of that shit. And it's like, oh, we want to fight for equal rights and we want to be treated like men. Why the fuck you think? See, a toxic feminine man can't respect a woman because y'all battle. The thing is, y'all essences are battling. You'll never be equal to a man because you were never supposed to be. You're not created to be equal to a man, just as a man is not created to be equal to you. But now our psychosis has been fucked up because we're trying to be equal. Women are now deciding, okay, I want to be equal with men. But what essence are you trying to be equal with? Because to be equal with the man, you have to be equal with his essence, and his essence is toxic femininity. So what the fuck do you think you're going to be? Toxically feminine. Hot girl summer, all of the shit that has come up because it's about women wanting to do what men do without being crucified for the shit. But men are still doing destructive shit. That's not our essence that is speaking. That is a negative polarity of an essence that we have been conditioned into. So when you're speaking from an essential point, then you're speaking from an unconscious point. That is when you just act out reality. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that shit is very, very potent. And that shit is something that really needs to be really thought out because y'all ain't trying to be equal because we were not created to be equal. We were created to balance and harmonize. You feel what I'm saying? So when masculine, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. When masculine essence is truly in the shit, a woman will be able to be feminine without being afraid to. Her femininity comes out stronger. She don't even know why. She just think, oh, I got a good man. You got a masculine man. You got a masculine man. And when a woman is involved with a toxic fit, like, this is now where I'm going to say it's going to go back a couple millennia. Because when a woman is with a toxically feminine man, guess what she has to do? She has to submit because this feminine essence is they're going to battle. One has to submit to the other. You don't have to submit to masculinity because masculinity knows its place and femininity knows its place. The balance has to happen. Masculinity is intelligence. Femininity is intuition. Masculinity is rationale. Femininity is emotional. Masculinity is objective. Femininity is subjective. You feel me? There's balance in that shit. My intelligence analyzes and deconstructs. Your intuition synthesizes and constructs. It's supposed to be that way. You feel what I'm saying? But toxic femininity, that's not that shit. Toxic femininity, it takes the negative perspective of that. So where femininity, where you have intuition, we have intuition with the feminine essence. Guess what you're gonna get is if you're toxically feminine. The toxic feminine polarity of intuition is insecurity. Go fucking figure. You feel me? The toxic expression of the feminine essence, this feminine polarity of emotionality is it's going to be volatility. Go fucking figure. Women are not in control of their emotions when they're supposed, like, how y'all are the emotional being and y'all are not in control of your emotions. We don't have to be in control of our emotions. We have to rationalize them. But when we're not even taught our masculine essence, we adopt the feminine nature and say, yo, men don't have emotions. Why do you think the shit's now so extreme? Women are 100% emotional. Men ain't emotional at all. You feel what I'm saying? Because that is toxic femininity. So again, that's why I titled the book Toxic Femininity. It ain't got shit to do with women. But women are trying to fight some shit that they are. Like, if you gotta revive masculinity. So what you do, so now it's like, when you understand that, this is where it becomes psychological and it becomes deeper, because it's like women have now been conditioned to make their sons toxically feminine. They don't even know the shit. Like, don't even know it. They're thinking, oh, I want to prepare my man to be my son to be, sensitive and appreciative. I'm not talking about just being appreciative of, like, naturally, if you are a masculine man, masculine energy is naturally going to do all of the things necessary to make femininity thrive. It's a natural thing. You don't fucking believe me? Pay attention to a young boy and a little girl at a very young age. Just watch their mannerisms. There's shit that you do not have to tell them to do. You don't have to teach them, but we stop it at an early age because we over-sexualize shit in our minds. They're fucking 2 and 3 years old. They're holding hands. There's nothing. They're not thinking about fucking each other. The adult is. And the adult stops that shit. So the adults they start to kill that masculine shit early. They start to kill the essences that we naturally have. We're naturally supposed to gravitate towards our opposing force. Our polarized force. We naturally do it. You see children do it every single day. Every single day. And you start to grow from that. You feel me? But like I said, there's an unconscious thing. There's a I ain't gonna say an agenda, but there's a reality in which women have, in their attempt to not make their son masculine, manly, they make him feminine by default, because they did not equate that manliness is toxic feminine behavior, not masculinity. I'm gonna repeat it. There's no masculinity in this world right now. There's no masculinity in this world right now. There is toxic femininity that men are living through. And back to the point of women having to submit to men, why do you think that is a reality? You have to submit, your essences have to submit to one another. Like, you have to submit to, because it's feminine energy. This is why I'm the leader of the house. And now shit's going to start to make sense, and it's going to start to blow your mind as we go deeper. It's like, I'm the man of the house. I'm the head of the house, because you have to understand that when we're speaking from that perspective, we're speaking from the essence point. I'm the creating force in this house. You're the creating force that falls under me. You feel what I'm saying? You're the creating force that falls under me. I'm the creating force. I make the money, I do all of this, and now you have to do what I say. That is, like, strategically done. That is strategically done. And the quintessential piece of that is religion. This is why those are two things that I cannot involve myself with, because they are not rooted in masculinity. You feel what I'm saying? I can't be involved with a submissive woman. I don't give a fuck. Like, I love women, I love y'all, and I love the rationale and the justification that you put on shit about how submission is right. You're relinquishing your control. You're relinquishing your essence. That's what submission really is. That's what the premise of submission was. For you to relinquish your essence as a creator to the essence of a being who does not know how to create, but they have become creators. You feel me? Men have taken on toxic femininity, and it does nothing but destroy. Think about that shit, yo. Like, take a second to think about that shit, then look at the world. You feel me? Why do you think If the world was really ran by masculine men, there would be no wars. The world is run off toxic femininity. Why? Because of destruction. It's not masculinity that's going to fight wars. That's not masculinity that's creating the very diseases and shit that are, killing the people and then that's destruction. That's toxic feminine behavior, my guy. You are completely destroying shit. But that is our template. You dig what I'm saying? That is our template and what has, made us men, Hey, huddle up, broskies, because it's time to elevate. The secret to evolving masculinity is to define it, understand it, then apply it. The So Frail series defines masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. From this definition, I explain how masculinity is not just the hat that we wear, but it's the essence that we must exude through application. If you enjoy the So Frail conversations, why not read the books that inspire them? Visit IamJustSeen.com right now to add the So Frail series to your library to get a better understanding of what masculinity really is. I promise, after reading So Frail, you will never look at masculinity the same again. So I kind of got off, so let me back up real quick to where I was saying, yeah, women are kind of doing that to their sons and they're grooming them. So now let's look at our culture. You feel me? Had to sip my tea real quick. Hold on. So let's look at our culture. Y'all don't think it's an accident why the man has to stay out of the home? You feel me? And the thing, here's the thing. It's kind of crazy, but this is not a point that I'm saying, but most masculine men become criminals. Most masculine men are going to become criminals because the life that criminality involves with is about analysis and deconstruction. And when they analyzed and deconstructed their reality and knew that they could not function in this system, the only thing that was available for them was crime. Good jobs, education, that is a function of taking on the feminine perspective and not embodying your masculine nature. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not saying, okay, that by default we're going to become criminals. Nah, but the criminal life, let's keep it 100. The criminal life is entrepreneurship it's underground entrepreneurship. The fuck? It's underground entrepreneurship. You feel what I'm saying? But how easy is it to become a above ground entrepreneur? Very hard, because you got to get loans, you got to get all of the shit. And your whole thing, like, if you're not following the system from that perspective, you're not going to be able to move in that world. You feel me? Not the way you want to. You feel what I'm saying? So it's easy to become into the criminal life because you come to a point. I have to analyze and deconstruct the situation. Now, granted, it gets to the point where it's just like you're doing things without the end goal, and that's where it's no longer masculine, and when it becomes toxic feminine, because it's like, I'm destroying shit. You feel me? I'm destroying shit. Like, I'm destroying everything, starting with my life, then with the lives around me. You feel what I'm saying? With the lives around me. So when we consider where that starts and everything like that, it's like you take the man out of the home. You feel me? You take this is not even, and I'm not, understand, I'm not saying in general just there's an absent father. You could be a present father and still not be in your home. You could be a present mother and still not be in your home. And a school has far more influence than you do on your kid. Just look at basic numbers. They say numbers don't lie, so let me give you some motherfucking numbers real quick. Your child is born. Man is the protector and the provider. He's never in the fucking home. He's never in the home. You feel what I'm saying? And the more money that he's going to make to protect and provide, the longer he's going to be away from the home. Why? Because that masculine force can't be there. You feel what I'm saying? So now, our children are being raised in 100% feminine energy. You feel me? 100% feminine energy. But then now you have, okay, mama's working. You feel me? Mama's working too. Make ends meet, whatever the case may be. So where are your children at? They're in school for 8 hours a day. 24 hours in the day, you sleep for 8. So we're going to automatically start off at 16. School is for 8 hours a day. You feel what I'm saying? School's 8, you sleep 8. So you really got 8 hours a day, potentially, with your child. You work 12. Both parents work 12. You feel what I'm saying? So that's 4 hours left. You have to eat dinner. That's an hour. You feel me? Hour and a half. In a day's time, in reality, really think about this. In a day's time, you're spending about 3 hours with your children. From the time they turn 5 and on, you're spending probably 3 hours a day with your children. You feel what I'm saying? So for the other 8, so the main 8 hours a day, they're in school. Their teacher is a woman. So now when we look at a young black boy or whatnot, and we look at him growing up, what has he been taught by all of his life? What essence has he? So it's like when that masculine essence naturally exudes within him, they're going to say he's being argumentative. Oh, he's being this, he's going to be that. Because that is a part of analysis and deconstruction. What you said, I got to break the fuck down and process. I'm not arguing with you, but I'm getting frustrated because you don't have the patience, because you gave me a fucking detail and just said know it. I can't have to know a principle. You feel me? I have to know a principle. And that's where our fucked up situation comes in, because we're not balanced in both regards. You feel me? We're completely shifted to our feminine energy. And then when we have to say, okay, I can't be like this, we have to adopt toxic femininity. And that's what becomes our masculine nature. So a fuck boy is toxic feminine behavior. A dog, whatever it is that we do to fuck y'all over, that y'all feel, oh, that's toxic feminine behavior. Fucking struction. You feel what I'm saying? So masculinity, so we have to change that narrative and stop saying masculinity is fragile. Masculinity is frail. Your masculinity is toxic. Nope. I'm toxically feminine, just like your goofy ass. And we're battling each other. That's why we can't get along. That's why men and women have issues. That's why black men and black women are in the state that they're in. It's too toxic. It's two feminine energies battling each other. You feel what I'm saying? So again, this goes back to what I was talking about submission. I don't need women to submit to me. I don't need women to submit to me. And that shit gets crazy, because it's like women be like, well, what is it? Like I'm masculine. And I see the thing about it is like this: to understand masculinity, you got to understand femininity too. I understand both really well, so I know how to move through both of them. But I know what my predisposition is, and I utilize that, and I move through that. So it's like, I'm like, I don't need you to submit. I need you to release yourself. The fuck? Why submit? What do you submit to? No, submission means that a woman lets a man lead. No, a woman can't let a man lead. That's stupid as fuck. Just like a man can't let a woman lead. That's stupid as fuck. We got to lead together. My intelligence needs to be with your intuition. We need to be walking side by side. There is no leader. There is no leader. But now when you put it on a physical perspective, and I'm going to use this quick metaphor because it's so relevant and it makes sense. But when you put it on the physical level, you don't have a man leading a woman, because the way that we're perceiving it, the man is in the front. The man is in front. The man is the head, whatever the case may be. But imagine this. You're following me. Because if I'm the leader, you're the follower. Simple as that. Like, the fuck. But nobody wants to be called that shit. But if I'm the leader, you're the follower by fucking default. You dig what I'm saying? So if I'm in the front, you're behind me, right? What can I protect? How can I protect you? You're exposed on all aspects, from the side of me and from behind me. You're exposed. I can't protect you. I can only protect what's in front of me and what I see. You feel me? That's toxic femininity. That's a man moving through toxic femininity. That's a man being the head of a relationship in toxic femininity, or whatever the case may be. But when there's balance and there's harmony, and I know that I'm a protector and a provider, my rationale, my analysis and deconstruction tells me I stand behind you and you stand in front of me. Now, if I extend my arms forward, if you can visualize this, if I extend my arms forward, you're protected on your sides. You're protected on the sides. If I stand behind you, you're protected from behind. And with you standing in front of me, I can see anything from the front that's attacking you. That's masculinity. You feel me? That's masculinity. But y'all just want motherfuckers that's going to lead so y'all can follow, because that's what y'all been conditioned to believe. But now you have to understand and heed this and take this well. You're not following masculine men, because you would not have to follow a masculine man. You will be walking with a masculine man, because he needs you just as much as you need him. He doesn't need to stay in the front. The man is the head. Well, okay, if the man is the head, then the woman is the fucking neck. The fuck? And there's more vital connection from within the neck to the rest of the body. The head can't function by itself. I don't give a fuck what Futurama tell you. You put your head in the glass, you can't do shit. You feel what I'm saying? But if your neck is severed, the rest of your body shuts down. You feel me? So you have to consider that, and you have to look at that reality. That's just the physical aspect. You feel what I'm saying? So a man doesn't lead. A man doesn't lead, but a toxic feminine man has to lead. His ego is there. He has to be in the front. You feel what I'm saying? I know when intuition is needed, and I know when intelligence is needed. Am I intuitive? Hell the fuck yeah. But I would like a intuitive and the natural intuitive being to give me the intuition. You feel what I'm saying? But by that same default, because of that, when a true masculine man, a naturally masculine man has abundance of intelligence, period. You feel what I'm saying? But when that happens, that becomes intimidating because now the woman is under the impression that she has to be as smart as him. No, you just have to be intuitive as I am as intelligent. You feel me? So I get with the women, like, I have been dealing with women who, they understand their intuition, but they think they're highly intuitive. And a lot of times they're not. A lot of times they're not. And this is not me being funny. Like, this is not me being funny, but it's like your intuition has to balance with the level of intelligence you have. Same vice versa. Like, and that's the same thing for men. I've seen guys say, yo, I'm intuitive, but they're not the sharpest shit in the drawer. You feel me? But those two go hand in hand. But your level is what your intelligence is, period. Because what you analyze and deconstruct, you synthesize and reconstitute. You feel what I'm saying? So that is a function of tapping into that. So now, the point that I'm trying to get to and put the icing on the cake as best as I can is that this shit stopped. Femininity emerged. Toxic femininity emerged, and it infused within men with religious beliefs. There's no debate. Like, there's a debate because everybody can say it. But when everything, the major religions, whatever they are, they do not respect women. They do not give women any precedence or any credence. Why? Who could have wrote that? A masculine man could not have written those. A masculine man could not be in response to that. But a toxic feminine man can. One who needs to be the head. And when you look at the shit, you feel me? Hell, the whole First Testament was about war and destruction. And they just fought. There was really no beef. Like, there was really no, if you actually pay attention to the information, there was really no coherent reason why they should be fighting. Other than the fact that the creator was emotional. I'm not being funny, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or blasphemous, but you have to read it from a masculine perspective. You have to read it from an objective context. This very being says, I am a jealous, I'm a vengeful, and I'm a wrathful. They say that. I'm jealous, I'm vengeful, I'm wrathful. Those are emotions, are they not? So what position does what position does our creator lead from? Our creator has to be feminine. But yet we call it a he. Which is a very, very crazy thing. Because now we understand how we're segueing into toxic femininity and don't even know it. Our unconscious minds understand. But see, our conscious mind hasn't caught up to that information yet. So when this being says, you know what? I'm jealous that they're serving other, like, I'm the only one. Like, put that shit in reality. Put that shit in reality. Again, I'm not being blasphemous. I want you to understand this shit. Because I respect everybody's beliefs. But at the same time, you have to understand this information objectively before you get emotional with it. We took on these informations from an emotional perspective, out of fear, out of whatever, out of trauma. That's how we took this information in. We didn't take it in from logic. Because if we took it in from logic, it would be a different reality. However, we take it in from emotion. This is why people get upset and people say they can't fuck with somebody or they can't do it because you're speaking from an emotional perspective. You're not speaking from logic. You're not speaking from rationale. You feel what I'm saying? But you're serving a being that doesn't operate from rationality. You feel me? And in that irrationality, you now become that being. See, people be thinking, I want to walk in the image of this. You're creating the image of it. So when you're creating the image of your deity that you serve, you're going to exhibit those tendencies. You're going to justify them. It's going to be okay. You feel me? So when we exhibit toxic feminine behavior as humans, you feel me? We say things like, oh, they know my heart. They're not done with me yet, or different things of that nature. So that sets the impetus for toxic feminine behavior. There's no masculinity there, which is very, like I said, it's ironic because this being carries the essence and the energy of femininity, but it has to use it through destruction and cause itself a heat. You feel me? Why were there no women in the triune? The triune became the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost for those who follow that ideology. But whatever it is, the hierarchy, it starts with the man, then it's like the woman is below. You feel me? The woman is below, it's not beside. You dig what I'm saying? And it shows in every single dynamic of this information. Women can't speak in the presence of men. You feel what I'm saying? This is why there had to be a delineation to certain shit. Like they say a man should not wear the garments of a woman. And if you look at today, men and women are wearing the garments of each other. You feel what I'm saying? Well, why is that? Because it's toxic feminine energy battling regular feminine energy. It's not masculinity versus femininity. Because it can't be a versus in that reality because they're supposed to balance with each other. So there are specific rules that say this is toxic feminine energy and this is feminine energy. I'll say healthy feminine energy, and they're battling each other. But at the same time, toxic femininity is gonna be the head. Think about that shit, bro. I'm gonna sip my tea real quick. Think about that shit. In that duality, toxic femininity is the head. And I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Here's how you know that it's here's how you can know. Just pay attention to the shit. Toxic femininity is where destruction has to happen. Right? Look in the entire, like, the deities that we serve destroy everything. Everything that doesn't submit to them. Everything. Why do you think, like, if you're creating the image, you're going to operate from that? So men have to operate like the deities that they serve. So why do you think when women don't submit to men, they respond as if their deity is supposed to respond to them? If I don't listen, I get punished. Imagine that shit. What kind of toxic feminine behavior, what kind of toxic feminine energy is it to where if 4 people don't listen to what the fuck I said, I'm shipping an entire generation to another. I'm shipping all of the people to a distant land to be punished by enemies for 4 fucking generations. Non-stop. I'm cursing you because you did not listen to me. Is that not emotional? Is that not a feminine energy? But is that not toxic? Because now you're destroying the very thing you say you chose and you love so much. You feel me? Again, this isn't blasphemous, but this is logical. This is understanding this information not from an emotional perspective. So when you internalize it from an emotional perspective, you can't rationalize that. How can, and this is why, let's look at it like this. This is why it now goes into it. Because if you can, I'm sorry, I got a little bit excited in this next point. If you can understand how that plays out and it's okay. You feel what I'm saying? How we can sin or we can do a wrong and this being has to smite us and go through all of this other shit to us. Then you need to understand why it's so simple for a woman to stay in a relationship with an abusive man. That is toxic feminine energy that she has to submit to. But that man still loves her. Now, it ain't just about physically punching a motherfucker in the face. Verbal abuse is real. Spiritual abuse is real. Psychological abuse is real. He ain't never got to put his hands on you to fuck with you. But that's toxic feminine energy. Because I can't let you be greater than me. I can't let your essence shine greater than mine because your essence, or both of our essences, are feminine essences. You dig what I'm saying? And because both of our essences are feminine essences, and I'm the man, I'm supposed to be in front, then I got to take over. You feel me? So this is the point why men get with younger women. This is the point why men get with women that really aren't up to par with them. This is why they do that shit, because toxic femininity cannot last against the healthy femininity that is stronger than it. You feel what I'm saying? Masculinity is going to take a feminine woman and it's going to make her better because naturally they're going to infuse with each other and they're going to grow. You dig what I'm saying? It's like chemistry. They tell you likes dissolve likes. You feel what I'm saying? 2 like things that are gonna balance in each other. They're gonna consume each other and they're gonna enhance. You feel what I'm saying? But opposites attract and they neutralize. That's what the fuck femininity and toxic femininity is. They're supposed to neutralize because they're opposites. You feel me? They're not in harmony with one another. You dig what I'm saying? So this is why you have to give up your dreams. This is why you have to give up your goals. This is why motherfuckers toxic. This is toxic femininity is why men complain about women making more, but men don't want to put in more work. The fuck? You feel me? That's toxic feminine energy. I can't let you reign supreme over me. And then when I do, if you do, I'm going to humble you. I have to bring you down. I have to make you insignificant. I have to completely tarnish who you are as an essence because my toxic femininity has to reign supreme over your femininity, whatever it is. Or I have to make it. So that's why the relationships play out the way they play out. So then when a woman gets with a masculine man, she don't know how to act. She don't know what to do. Where do I function? I don't have to argue with you. I don't have to think of like, you feel me? Toxic feminine energy is about destruction, my guy. It's about completely destroying shit. You feel me? And that's what we have operated from as men. Show me that the man that you think is the most manly, the most masculine, whatever it is. Look at what the fuck he does. Hell, even look at some of these motherfucking Instagram motherfuckers who are speaking on behalf of masculinity and shit. These men that are speaking on behalf of masculinity, catering to women, as opposed. See, that's the thing. This is how you know it's toxic feminine. Nobody, all of these motherfuckers who are talking about masculinity, who are talking about, women, you need to be more. You're only talking to women. As opposed to saying this is just the way men are. Okay, now let's enhance men. We're going to say, hey, this is the way men are. Women, y'all need to adjust to us. The fuck? That means you have to succumb to the toxic femininity. So these men that are talking about this masculinity, as I said, there's a mask that you think is masculinity, but it's really just manliness, which is toxic femininity from a male perspective. You feel what I'm saying? So you have these men that are telling you to fuck with the most toxic feminine man, the most safest toxic feminine man. Don't fuck with the bad ones. There's bad toxic. Those are the fuck boys and shit. But fuck with us that put the same men down. Fuck with us that are going to tell you shit that'll keep your mind wrapped up in the illusion because we know how to tap into your motherfucking emotions. Nah, fuck that. You feel me? I deal with women who, when they come to me with emotions, I rationalize them shit to send them back. And they be like, I just wanted to vent. Not over here. That's what you get homegirls for. Over here, I'm going to solve the problem. I'm going to give you some solution-oriented shit. You feel me? My homegirls, they respect me for that and they come to me for that very reason. They can attest to the shit. I ain't just doing this for the podcast. You feel me? I really do this shit. People naturally come to me for that, and I never understood why. Why the fuck? I'm like, yo, can't you figure this shit the fuck out? Because you're so busy. You're focused on details. You need somebody who can show you the principles. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what the delineation is between that. And that's why I did Toxic Femininity. That's why the second book is called Toxic Femininity. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't talking about women. You feel me? I ain't talking about women. Like, I'm not a woman. I ain't got shit to say that can, towards that. You feel what I'm saying? But I am a man and I do understand what we're operating from. I understand what has been conditioned within us. You feel what I'm saying? So like I said, this shit is millennia in the making. When we accepted a religion, when we accept that shit this is destruction. You feel me? Think about when it says, turn a cheek to your enemy, but spare the rod, you spoil the child. Just think about that. If that's not destructive, I don't know what the fuck is. The motherfucker that wants to kill me, I'm going to give him a second opportunity to kill me. But the motherfucker who I'm supposed to live through, I can destroy them. I can whoop them. I can beat them. You feel me? Like really think about that shit. But then now when you perpetuate that cycle for years on end, this is what happens. You feel me? This is what happens. You create this illusion of fear of the afterlife that nobody's ever been to. That's based off of emotion. That's not based off of logic. Nobody's ever been to this place, but they have a very well description. They are very descriptive of the shit. You feel me? They are very descriptive of a place they've never been because their emotions are there. You feel me? You don't fear you don't fear hell because you've been there or you know somebody who's been there. You fear hell because of the emotional connection that you have to what it represents. They tell you hell is fire. If you've ever been burnt by fire, you're like, I don't want to feel that shit. That's the emotion. But logically, if you break this down logically and you say, my soul has to go there, but my physical is what burns in fire. My physical is going to stay there. So would it really burn? That's just a logical premise that has to come. You cannot use logic and make that shit stand. But as a toxic feminine essence, that's what it is. And that's what men have now accepted. And that's what we have internalized. Now, that was just from the perspective of religion. But now fast forward to where we are now. Our situation is contingent upon this. So now when we look at, hey, women are fighting for this. Women are fighting for these rights. We're fighting for equality. You're not fighting. We're fighting misogyny. Misogyny is an extension of femininity. It's toxic femininity. So what would healthy femininity be? Feminism. Same shit. Opposite sides of the coin. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's not funny because I know what y'all fighting for, but y'all don't know your fight. I get what y'all are fighting for. You just don't know your fight. You feel me? You think you're fighting men. I want to be equal with men, better wages, better this. This is why, and on that perspective, the people that suffer, the women's suffrage and all of the people that are fighting for it, this is how you know, like, everything that was created after that, you just had a female version of it. Women's basketball. Why isn't there a sport specifically catered to women? You feel me? That only women can do. But then it's like, oh, well, we're going to come and do it too. Now it's to the point where, if this is what bags your groceries in, by all means, paper, plastic, but this now puts more into the toxic feminine energy. You feel what I'm saying? When you consider the transgender shit, right? That is saying that I can be your gender better than you can. Think about this shit, bro. This shit, it blew my mind. It was fucking hilarious. I don't even know how this shit happened. Like, I don't know. When Bruce Jenner got their sex change, that motherfucker was a woman for 6 months and got Woman of the Year. Y'all motherfuckers have been birthing babies, going through labor, pains, motherfucking all kind of shit all your lives. Bleeding every single month, cramps, all of this shit. Feel me? Being brought to your knees, needing Midol, all of that shit for all of your life. This motherfucker was a woman for 6 months and will never experience a tenth of that shit and got Woman of the Year. That shit was mind-boggling. You feel what I'm saying? But again, the powers that be, whatever structures it is that are like, they're operating from toxic femininity. They're not trying to destroy our masculine energy. Our masculine energy is resurging. You know why? Because we have now shifted into what's called the Aquarian age. I'm going to get real deep real quick and then I'm going to cut it off. But we're shifting into what's called the Aquarian age, right? We left the Piscean age. The Piscean age is the age of belief, emotions. Go figure. The Aquarian age is the age of knowledge. That is intellect. You feel me? That is rationale. Masculinity is going to surge in this motherfucker anyway. And guess when the Aquarian age started? In 2012. When they were talking about the Mayans world ending and shit, the world's going to end. No, the age ended, which was the age of Pisces. That's what the whole religious text is about. The age of Pisces. You feel what I'm saying? The age of belief. This is why you just have to believe and you have to believe and you can't know. You feel me? You just have to believe in what you say because your emotions now have to take over because everything has to be emotional. So in 2012, that's when we marked the age of, what was it? The age of Aquarian, and now we're in that phase. So everything is about thinking. So masculinity, it thrives in the Aquarian energy. Why? Because masculinity is about intelligence. It's about rationale. It's about logic. It's coming back. So now it's like, we have to push this agenda to keep masculinity from resurging. So we have to keep toxic femininity in the world. We have to keep men believing that they're masculine. Like, to be masculine, you have to be toxic feminine. Well, to be, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what that represents. So that's why I discuss toxic femininity the way that I do. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't nothing against y'all. I ain't talking about women. I love women. You know, I love women so much that I'm now trying to say, okay, men, this is what the fuck we're operating from. We need to change that shit so women can stop doing what they do. You feel me? Because as long as we're toxic feminine, man, y'all are going to be feminine. Y'all can be healthy feminine, but it'll shift y'all to toxic feminine simply because y'all have to battle us in an attempt to be our equals as opposed to harmonizing with our energy. I'm going to keep it a whole 1,000 with you. A truly masculine, a woman, she will never, ever, ever have to argue, have to fight, have to gripe with a truly masculine man. She feels at peace and she feels home. But because she's never felt it and it doesn't feel normal, she will fuck it up. And she will assume that he's not a masculine man because he's able to be at a certain level of peace that she's never experienced before because he's now in harmony with her. You feel me? And what was it? Troy. In the movie Troy, Agamemnon was talking about Achilles. He said, I don't want to release him because I can't control him. And his advisor told him, he said, you don't need to control him. You need to unleash him. And that's what masculinity would do to femininity. But toxic femininity will control it. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now. All right, yeah, so that one, that's why I call this shit toxic femininity, bro. Like, I needed people to see what the fuck it is that we actually think it is masculinity. Because it's really not that shit. It's really not that shit. Masculinity is gone. The feminine essence is here, but she's tainted. She's tainted with toxic femininity, and it happens to be men running the world, and they're running the world through toxic femininity. That's why everything has to be about destruction. Everything is about destroying, genocide, all of this other shit. That's not masculine. Masculine doesn't do that, because the first rule of nature is self-preservation. If masculinity shows that I am supposed to analyze and deconstruct, and I know the first rule of nature is self-preservation, why would I try to kill everything in the world? I know that trees give me oxygen, but I'm going to cut down entire rainforests, burn them down for what? For land to produce artificial oxygen. That's some toxic feminine shit. To know, or that's some toxic feminine shit to even believe that you can do a better job at nature than nature. But masculinity says, yo, nature's already doing the shit, so guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let nature be nature. You feel me? But now we take that on a grander scale. This is what's being infused within our psyches. You feel what I'm saying? Masculine men are really like, masculinity is so toxic. No, you're fighting toxic femininity, and it's just men exhibiting the shit. You feel me? It's men exhibiting this shit. And because men are exhibiting this shit, you want to call it masculinity, but it's not. It's not. There's no rationale, there's no logic, but that's why it's like, when you look at some of the most intelligent people, what we perceive as the most intelligent people, oh, this motherfucker's smart. They're just good at rattling off details and talking a good game, because that's what they've been taught. Their memorization is on point. Their memorization is on point, but that's not understanding a principle. Knowing a detail and understanding a principle are two totally different things. But a truly masculine being has to tap into that. You feel what I'm saying? Toxic femininity needs a woman to submit. Masculinity needs a woman to be released. Go figure. I'm not a horn tooter, no shit like that, but it's like, the women, my relationships don't work, not because they're bad, not because shit goes sour, but because I allow women to unleash themselves. And because they've been in situations where they've been caged and bound, and they don't know who the fuck they are yet, and they're trying to explore that, they're like, damn, how the fuck do I do this shit? Because so many women have been validating themselves by the worth that they treat a man. Why do you think that you're validated by how well you could treat a man if you're not boosting the ego of a toxic feminine energy? That's what it means to submit. You're relinquishing your feminine essence to a toxic feminine essence that now controls you. And if you get out of line, that toxic femininity has to realign you. You feel me? You can't be unleashed. This is why you're bound. This is why when you get 30, 40, 50 years old and you feel like you're unfulfilled, talk to the old heads of the family. I gave up a lot of my dreams, but I got my kids. Your kids is how you rationalize the shit that you submitted to. You feel what I'm saying? That's what toxic femininity does to women. That's what it does to femininity. That's what it does as an essence. So again, masculinity is obsolete. It's not in the world. The world is being run, and men are operating through toxic femininity. which makes them manly. It ain't got shit to do with homosexuality. It ain't got shit to do with gender, but it has everything to do with the essence. And when the essence is off, the essence of femininity is gone. When the essence of femininity is tainted, it becomes toxic femininity. So everything is destruction. You destroy everything. You feel what I'm saying? You destroy everything. Because that's all you know. That's all you know how to do. You feel me? So when you learn within this world that this is the way you operate, this is the way you're supposed to operate. And as men, we're taught this from a young age. We're taught to be feminine. We're taught to operate from our feminine essence. And our masculine essence is killed. You feel what I'm saying? This is why we ask so many motherfucking questions, but they tell us not to ask questions. We ask questions to analyze and deconstruct. That is our inquisitive nature. Go fucking figure. But we're told to shut up. We're told to stop asking so many questions. Toxic femininity is already killing us at that young age. And shifting us to just femininity. So we're just like, yo, I'm not going to ask questions. I'm not going to, I'm not going to ask questions, but now I'm shifted to my feminine nature. So I'm just going to absorb details and try to remember this shit. And you can't. And then you start to spend life that way. So you create that template. And then you move into the realm of boys ain't supposed to have feelings. Boys ain't supposed to do this. Boys ain't supposed to feel this way. Or boys ain't supposed to act. So now that shifts to toxic feminine energy. And now I become the monster that destroys everything, who needs to be in touch with his feminine side. No, I don't need to be in touch with my feminine side. I need to revive my masculine side so I kill my toxic feminine side. You feel what I'm saying? Because now I'm in opposition naturally to femininity as opposed to being in harmony with it. So that all of that was to say, this is why I titled the book Toxic Femininity. You feel me? And also why people as a whole need to stop saying masculinity it's not masculinity, my guy. It's not. It's not. It's the feminine energy. It's here. It's here. It never left. It never left. But because masculinity has been stripped, that essence is gone. That's what needs to be revived. But when you don't understand something and you don't have a definitive idea for it, it's hard to find it and revive it. You feel what I'm saying? So what we're trying to do is make toxic femininity stronger. Become more aggressive, become more angry, get more muscles and all of that shit. Like, you feel me? That's what we're trying to do. Make toxic femininity stronger. And that's where the battle is. No, let toxic femininity die. It's a vestigial organ. Let it die. And now revive masculinity. So with that said, I'm gonna cut it there. Be sure to check out the books, as I said, So Frail, A Reality of Black Masculinity, So Frail II, Toxic Femininity, because now you know I ain't talking about women. Damn it. Y'all know I ain't shitting on y'all. You feel me? I don't need to get my masculinity in check. I don't need to get like ego in check. I'm misogynistic. Ain't got shit to do with y'all, yo. I love y'all tonight though for trying to keep me on point. Oh yeah, get So Frail, Reality of Black Male Masculinity, So Frail II, Toxic Femininity. If you into the plant-based life, get Hitting It Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. If you're not following me already, follow me at Instagram at _just_senior_. Follow my merchandise page at Just Scenes Merch. I got some dope ass designs over there. Follow the Hitting It Raw program at the Hitting It Raw program. And live, laugh, and love. Enjoy life. Also, I do accept donations. I do accept tips. So if you feel the need to, drop a gem or two, if I dropped you some gems and you want to give back, you can do so. The links are in the descriptions to your podcast. So yeah, with that said, going forward, yeah, as you can see, So Frail conversations are going to get really, really deep, really, really deep, really, really quick. So, yeah, just, hang tight. I want, as long as now that I have all of the misconceptions, as much as I can think of, misconceptions out of the way, yeah, we can go in now. We can start talking that shit. So get ready, because it's about to get really deep. It's about to get really deep, and I don't hold no punches. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's just a part of the energy that I have. So with that said, I will see you in the next episode. Live, love, laugh, enjoy your life. Go do something productive. Kiss your people, and focus on your toxic feminine energy and stop destroying and start creating, because now is the time to change, because the world is shifting. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.